With Ukraine's Western allies finally agreeing to send Kyiv modern tanks, there's now growing debate about providing fighter jets. US President Joe Biden's ruled out sending F-16 fighters, and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has also ruled out supplying planes. But France and other countries have signalled they could deliver equipment under certain circumstances. Ukraine has been seeking modern warplanes to replace its Soviet-era air force since the war began, but allies fear the move could risk escalation with Russia. Straight to the Ukrainian capital, then, where we find our correspondent, Matthias Bullinger. Welcome, Matthias. Let's start with an update on the fighting in eastern Ukraine.
It's pretty much what we've seen throughout the past few weeks. Repeated attacks by Russian small units onto Ukrainian positions around this town of Bakhmut. These attacks were repelled. Yesterday there was a bit of confusion about one village that the Russians claimed to have taken, and they also posted photos standing at the entrance, at the sign of this village, and then Ukrainians are claiming that they have repelled them from there. So it's going back and forth in very small steps, but with very high casualties, and fighting remains very fierce in that area. These attacks continue, and it's clearly the Russian aim to take that town of Bakhmut that they have been attacking for several months now, and they're throwing a lot of manpower and also firepower at this town.
Right. Meanwhile, Ukraine's calling on its allies to speed up arms deliveries. What are they asking for?
Well, first of all, they're asking for more of the same, or for these tanks that have just been committed, that the West has committed to be delivered as swiftly as possible, because they would be needed in an offensive operation that Ukraine might likely undertake in a few months, in the beginning of spring. There is some kind of a race to who's first, because Russia seems to be preparing also an offensive operation, and of course the one who is first sets the tone, and it will be much more, Ukraine will need much more resources to fight back a possible Russian attack, and will have less resources for its own counterattack. So it's about speed, it's about quantity of what has already been committed. Ukraine also wants fighter jets. The most likely model would be the F-16, which exists in quite big numbers in a number of countries, that Ukraine says they would be needed in case of a bigger offensive, in order to, for example, bomb positions behind the lines, etc. This is the biggest discussion, of course, at the moment, with Western countries, especially the US, still being hesitant about these fighter jets.
Thank you for that, Matthias Bullinger in Kyiv.